civil disobedient movement. The Indian flag was hoisted on 31st December 1929. The Congress decided to launch a civil disobedient movement in 1930 as the demand of independence was not agreed upon the British. On 26 January 1930, public meetings were held and independence pledge was read out by the people. Gandhiji decided to start a civil disobedient movement by breaking a law that concerned people of religious and economic status, whether rich or poor. Gandhiji decided to break a salt law which had allowed only the British to manufacture salt. The Indians were forced to pay tax commonly commodities as common as a salt, which was the basic ingredient of food. Gandhiji and his followers walked from Sabarmati to Dandi and broke the salt law by manufacturing the salt. This march famously came to be known as the Dandi March. Thousands of people thrown Dandi even before Gandhiji and the followers had reached the place. People from the all communities and classes joined the movement. Peasants, students, women, youth, and even the tribal took part in this movement. Workers went on the strike, students left the government school and colleges. People refused to pay tax. Gandhiji urged the people to, to be non-violent. Thousands of people, including Gandhiji and Nehruji, was arrested and sent to the jail. The civil disobedience movement was the first mass freedom movement in India in the true sense. First Roundtable Conference and Gandhiji Arvind Pact. While the civil disobedience movement continued throughout the country, the Viceroy suggested a roundtable conference between Indian politician leader and the representatives of the British government. To take initiative to talk, Gandhiji and some politician prisoners were released. Gandhiji initiated to walk with the Viceroy, Lord Irwin. The pact signed by the Gandhiji and Irwin come to be known as the Gandhi-Irwin Pact. The government agreed to concede to some demands of the Indians, like release of politician prisoners, right to make salt, and their basic rights, etc. The Act of 1935, after the persistent confrontation with the British, the second and third round of table conference, Indian political leader had hoped that the Government of India Act 1935 would be concede to their demand of complete independence. The Government of India Act 1935 granted the provisional autonomy and setting up the bicameral legislature at the center. The government announced that provisional election in 1937. The Congress succeeded in forming governments in 7 out of 11 provinces. World War II broke out in 1939. The Congress agreed to support only if Britain agreed to free India. When the British declined the concede, the demand, the Congress minister resigned from the government in a protest. Next was the very important event that is called Quit India movement in 1942. In the middle of the Second World War, Gandhiji decided to start a new phase of movement against the British. 8 August 1942 was the day decided to launch another mass civil disobedient movement. Quit India or Bharat Chodo was the slogan of this movement, famously to be known as the Quit India movement. Country-wide strikes and hartals were held against the British rule. There were many acts of violence at railway station, government building, etc. The British government arrested the leaders and resorted the brutal suppression by arresting and killing people. Indian National Army, INA. Netaji Subhash Chandra Bose was one of the important leader, the famous political leader, escaped from the India and formed the Indian National Army, better known as INA, to overthrow the British and free India from their control. He took the help from Japan to fight the British, but Japan lost a former dealt a blow of his plan. You give me a blood and I will give you freedom. This was one of the important slogans the popular slogan said by Subhash Chandra Bose. There was a dramatic change in the political situation in India after the end of World War II. Although Britain, along with all with its allies, had won the Second World War, they were steadily losing the battle with the Indians. The change in power in Great Britain was an important development too. The Labour Party, led by the Prime Minister Clement Attlee, decided to lift the ban on the Congress and send a mission to India. The cabinet mission was transfer the power in hand of Indians to the formation of interim government. The constitution called the Constituent Assembly was to be formed to frame the Indian Constitution. Mountbatten Plan. Lord Mountbatten was the last viceroy of India. He presented a plan to divide India into two countries, India and Pakistan, as the Muslim League was demanded on the formation of Pakistan. His plan came to be known as the Mountbatten Plan. The India the Indian Independence Act 1947 was passed by the House of Commons in Britain. It was decided that 15 August 1947 would be date to transfer a power. Independence and partition. An interim government was set up in 1946 with Jawaharlal Nehru as its head. The Muslim League announced Direct Action Day on 16 August 1946 for mass agitation for the demand of Pakistan. Riots broke out into Kolkata and spread throughout the country. Hundreds of people were killed and thousands had to flee from their homes. At the most, at the stroke of the midnight on 14 August 1947, India became independent. 15 August 1947 was a day India became independent from the British rule. Jawaharlal Nehru became the first Prime Minister of the independent India, and the happiness of India's freedom was somewhat marred by the violence caused due to the partition of a country that the India divided into two parts, India and Pakistan. Thank you.